I'm your host, Daniel Lehman. It's Operation American Dream. 250,000 veterans in San Diego, 100,000 active duty. Our job is to serve them all and make the community aware of the issues that affect them most. Today we got some great guests. We got Albie Masland and Matt Peace from TravisManion.org. We've got Sean Van Diver to talk about the 4 Ds of national security. And we've got a great segment with Rick Collins from Vets 360. Stick around. Operation American Dream starts right now. All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. I've got a good buddy of mine on the show now. I've got Sean Van Diver, president of Van Diver Consulting. He's such a good friend that I just jacked up his name completely, man. So you're the president of Van Diver Consulting. You also founded the Truman Project here in San Diego. Former Navy veteran, 12 years in the Navy. And et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. like many of us, right?
Sure.
So 12 years in the Navy, man, got out, transitioned out into the national security realm.
Well, I transitioned out into PlayStation. I worked for PlayStation right after I got out of the Navy, and I ran enterprise risk and security here in San Diego.
So not national security, security in general.
Yeah, security.
So spent some time at PlayStation, and then
had a great time. Got to launch PlayStation 4, and that was really exciting back in New York.
So you were in charge of basically taking over a hotel and providing security so that intellectual property was protected. Absolutely,
and it was a really exciting time right after I'd gotten out of the Navy, and it happened to be that it was Veterans Day weekend, and the USS America was in port. So we got to invite some sailors and Marines to participate in the launch,
that's awesome, man.
Which was great for me. It was a really incredible experience.
So Van Diver Consulting, you focus on public affairs and security.
Correct.
With your consulting business. But what I wanted to talk to you about is you joined the Truman National Security Project in 2014. And take me from there. So you went out to an event in Washington, D.C., realized that there was no group here, or there was no organization here in San Diego, so you decided to found the
organization. What happened is I had applied for Truman in late 2013, and I got accepted into the organization, which is a think tank that focuses on national security. And I go out for orientation in February, and I realized that there's nobody else from San Diego there. So I asked, why don't we have a San Diego chapter? Well, we only have a couple members. So I took it upon myself to come back and get together with the other co-founder, Kristen Kavanaugh, and folks named Maddie Miranda and Janessa Goldbeck. And the 4 of us recruited a bunch of folks, and we got it launched. And then February of 2015, we did a press conference on the Midway and announced our new members and announced that the Truman Project was in town, and we're here to stay.
So tell our viewers basically what the Truman National Security Project is.
So the Truman Project is a think tank that focuses on national security based out of Washington, D.C. We focus on things like cybersecurity. We focus on special immigrant visas, so helping folks who are over in Iraq and Afghanistan who are interpreters for our country. They've given a year or more of their lives to support us, so we help them get over here with visas, or at least our members do. Truman's really a community of people that that believe in 4D national security, and that means that the 4Ds are defense, diplomacy, democracy, and development. And when we approach issues, we take that sort of lens. And so we've done things in cybersecurity. We worked on the Women in Combat initiative called No Exceptions that just resulted in all jobs in the military being open to women. We've done a bunch of stuff.
So of the 4 Ds, are there things that we do good now and we don't do good now, or are there things that we just need to shore up, like kind of as a country, or what is your take on how the country in general is doing, or?
Sure. So when you look at the difference between how we went in how we handled national security during and after World War II, vice how we did it in Vietnam, or how we've done it in Iraq and Afghanistan. In World War II, when the landing gates went down, we knew we couldn't go back into the landing craft, right? So we stormed the beaches, we killed a bunch of Nazis, we took Europe back for freedom and democracy, And we looked around and we said, hey, what do you want your country to look like? And we helped local populations rebuild their society in a way that they wanted to do it. Now, when you look at Vietnam, where we pulled out because we signed our agreement, pulled out. When you look at Iraq, we've left Iraq, and we're not there yet, but we're going towards it. And President Obama has been a big advocate for 4D national security. I think you'll see that Hillary Clinton will be a big advocate for 4D national security. I don't think you'll see that from Donald Trump. He's been kind of isolationist and wants to just leave. But we find that when we just go in and leave, when we go into some place, break a bunch of infrastructure and leave, it doesn't work. We upset people.
Do you feel like it's tougher to do with kind of the? I mean, there's just like thousands of years of kind of set. How much of it was just like doomed from the get-go, and how much can really be correct? I mean, just in your opinion.
Sure. So I would say that every place that we're fighting for freedom and democracy, no matter where it's at, is different, right? But we can't come in and say, hey, this is how your society is going to be. When we go in and try to tell somebody how to do something, when we make unilateral decisions without consulting local partners, we fail. Every single time we fail. When we go in and we build a coalition and we succeed together, then we find that things work, and they work well.
So so you kind of like just ran down the 4Ds, but let's drill into the 4Ds a little bit. So what's the first D that you mentioned?
Well, hard defense.
Defense.
Talk about defense, right? And we recognize that having a hard defense is incredibly important. It's incredibly important to make sure that we deter potential adversaries from trying to attack us. But it's also important to make sure that we are able to defend ourselves and our allies.
So that's the force. That's the military.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's
second D.
Diplomacy.
Diplomacy.
So military leaders all across the world will tell you that hard force is not always the answer. And in fact, most of us would rather use diplomatic
to
means.
avoid.
Exactly. So we're not getting people killed. We're not breaking stuff. We're not expending our resources. Diplomacy is certainly key.
And then third D.
Development. So when we invest overseas or anywhere, when we invest in our local neighborhoods, we find that conditions improve, and as long as we're doing it with an eye towards the community, then we succeed.
If people have hope, right? If people have hope and they have some element of an ability to grow, they're much less likely to feel hopeless and turn to means that would be violent or means that would be destructive, right?
Absolutely.
So, and then the last D.
Democracy. So we believe in a democratic society, right? We believe that when folks are represented by their communities, by leaders in their community, that nations succeed. When we see dictators, when we see despots, that doesn't work. And people aren't happy, and society is not free. You can't have free thinkers. You can't have free thought. You can't have a free press. All of those things are incredibly important. That's why our country succeeds.
So it's a holistic approach, as opposed to letting defense be the main.
So when we bring it home, when we bring 4D national security to the home front, we can talk about neighborhoods. We can talk about addressing issues of gangs, right? Same thing. If you invest in diplomacy, and people are talking, community leaders are talking, we succeed. If you develop the neighborhoods, if you invest infrastructure and lighting and all of these, clean up the potholes and education, development. We talked about development, diplomacy, democracy,
well,
and defense.
All the stuff that's going on in the news with police, as opposed to military, right?
Exactly, and it's the same approach. When community-oriented policing comes into neighborhoods, we find that it works. When community members are comfortable talking to the police officers in their neighborhood.
So it's really applicable across the board on every level. So. What can we do to help you, man? I mean, what do people do to get involved with the Truman Project or support the Truman Project here in
San
Diego?
So you can visit trumanproject.org on the website, on the internet, or you can go to Twitter and check out @TrumanProject and stay in touch with what we're doing. We have applications open now for fellows. Every year we have 150 fellows from all over the country, 50 folks from the political side, 50 folks from the policy side, and 50 folks from defense and military. And we all work together. We all sit around the table to help solve major national security issues.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, thanks so much for coming in, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate you talking about it. If you want to support the Truman Project, please, what was the URL one more time?
TrumanProject.org.
TrumanProject.org. We'll be right back with more Operation American Dream.
Hi, I am Bob Schuster. This is Arlene Schuster. We live in Escondido, California, and we chose Baker Electric Solar to install our solar system at our home.
We've known the Baker family for many years. We're both pioneer families here in Escondido. We chose them because of the integrity of their family.
But they were first class. We know what good service means to the customer. Baker Electric is the epitome of that good service.
It's the best experience we could have ever had. We're very pleased.
All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. Hey, so friend of the show is on, Albie Masland with TravisManion.org. You've been on before.
I have.
We've
Always
talked
good to
about
be
Travis Manion. It's always good to run into you because I see you a lot, man.
Yeah.
I mean, or once in a while, I guess. Not a lot.
I get to see you not as
From
much
time to
as I would
time.
like.
I give him a call. I say, hey, man, haven't talked to you for a while. I get worried sick about you, you know.
It's
So
true.
once in a while,
It's
we gotta get together and chat, man. So what's up, man? What's going on with Travis Manion Foundation, man? Give us an update on the.
We've got a lot of fun things going on. You know, the Travis Manion Foundation works to empower veterans and families of the fallen to develop character in future generations. And with that in mind, we're running veteran transition workshops. We have one coming up on September 24th. We're training these veterans and family members of the fallen to then develop character in the future generations, and that's something that Matt has a big role in.
Yeah, so Matt Peace is with us, man. So you went through, you're a Navy veteran, right?
Yes, sir.
How long did you spend in the Navy?
10 years,
10 years. So what, two enlistments, basically?
pretty much, yeah.
And then you got out, transitioned out. Mm-hmm. And so how'd you get hooked up with Travis
I
Manion
met
Foundation?
Albie and heard his story about doing Operation Marathon, and it was just really inspiring.
So what was Operation Marathon all about?
That was when I ran across the country. Raised money for the
just you know,
foundation.
that was just when I
Just a
ran.
little jog.
Yeah, it was just when I ran across the country.
3,025 miles, right?
Yeah, we've talked about that
Thanks
in
for being
depth, man.
accurate.
The
Yeah,
amount of
yeah.
shoes and so you heard a story about running across the country, and you're like, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's always something that's just been, really mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if you ever want any help or need a teammate, let me know. And he did.
So how did that connection happen, man? So you ended up in the transition program.
I did.
So tell me about it, man. Tell me about first, Albie, what's the aim of the transition program? What are you guys aiming to do?
Well, I would say that we've gone through a number of different iterations with it, but really the core of it has always been to provide the tools and resources that will allow veterans to leverage their strengths and their passions. We don't want to tell somebody, this is a box I think you would fit well in.
Or like, hey, you were a this in the Navy,
Exactly.
you should go be this.
Yeah, we want them to say what they're passionate about and try and figure out, the best course of action
And
to
then you
allow
guys
them to pursue that.
And then you guys try to find mentors. You try to find. Tell me your story, man. So you got it. What was your job in the
I
Navy?
was a mechanic.
Okay.
And I didn't want to do that
Yeah,
anymore.
sure.
So Albie's like, well, what do you want to do? And no one really had asked me that. They were like, this is what you should do.
I was gonna say everybody that
but-
goes into the Navy always knows exactly what they want to do
No.
and picks the MOS or the
And that was the
job
cool thing about them at TMF. It's like, what do you want to do? It's like, well, I want to be an artist. And within a week, he had me in connection with Elizabeth Washburn from Combat Arts. And we did the veteran murals. And it was just, from there on, it was like full-blown going into the art field.
That's awesome.
I was going to school for art. I ended up getting my associate's degree at City College. And with their help, I got into an internship at a art studio in Barrio Logan.
That's
I worked
awesome,
there for
man.
like 2.5 years.
So and then you decided? How'd you hook up and become the program coordinator for?
So
Travis Manion.
the job interview was kind of like, hey, you got to run halfway across the country with me, And I was like, all right, yeah, I can do that. And
Well, that's how you connected up in the first place, right?
Yeah. So we did Operation Samalama in April of this year.
So Albie, Operation Samalama, we kind of went over that before, but
Definitely.
Samalama, talk about his name was Sam.
Yeah,
right?
his name was Sam Leonard, nicknamed Sam Alama, and he was a guy at 73 trying to, chuck it from Tampa, Florida to California. Wasn't able to finish. Had
Due
to
to
stop
health
in,
issues, yeah.
had to stop in Houston due to stomach cancer and other health complications. And we're all about if not me, then who at the foundation. So when we heard the story, it was on my
You're like,
table.
let's
and
finish
I-
this thing.
Yeah, well, and I knew Matt and our other friend Nick Biazzi were the perfect people to go out and finish it. They're both really good examples of veterans that have been through our programs and are now mentors and ambassadors through our other programs. And to see Matt come out of that, now as our program coordinator, working with those same veterans through the same timeline that he went through is really a beautiful thing.
Tell me about 2 days in. 2
days in was good.
This was one of the worst days of the whole thing.
See, I didn't know that, but I feel like I'd be
mean-
2 days in and I'd be like, wait, where are we on this map?
It hit me on the drive out. We were somewhere like in East Arizona. And we're just sitting there looking out the window. I was like, man, we are in the middle of nowhere. Like, if something goes wrong, like, you know, we're out here. And but I have to say, we had a really good team, and nothing went wrong at all.
Okay, so
the whole trip.
So the alter ego of that feeling is, tell me about the finish, man.
So overwhelming.
Yeah, I bet.
So I was in the Navy. I was on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
And we finished on the USS Midway.
Yeah.
And you know, we ran up on the flight deck, and I worked on the flight deck in the Navy. And it
Yeah.
was just like, dang, dude.
Which carrier were you on, man?
I was on the Nimitz
Oh, cool.
and the Boxer.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy, man. So what else is going on with Travis, man? You said you had some transition classes coming up.
Yep.
We have one September 24th.
What I'll say too is, like, I always talk to you, and it always sticks in my head because it's not just like a good veteran philosophy or like it's just a life philosophy of that, if not me, then who?
Yeah.
You know, that's like what you guys kind of live by, and it's just such a powerful statement, man.
And really just like even beyond that, like we're really trying to own the character space. We want to be able to connect the veterans, connect the families of the fallen, empower them to work with youth and help build character. And in doing so, we're providing meaningful, renewed sense of purpose for these populations, but also we're building better communities. And that's more than anything the overarching point that we're trying to get to.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't give you the opportunity to talk about who Travis Manion was. I mean, the Travis Manion Foundation, we always talk about this, but it's always important to remember
Definitely.
who Travis was,
Yeah.
and that this all came from Travis. So
Yeah, he was a first lieutenant in the Marine Corps, and he made the ultimate sacrifice in 2007. I never had the privilege of meeting him, but by all accounts, he was someone who lived his life very much by these words, if not me, then who. You know, he was a G.I. Joe. He was a bigger than life character that led from the front. And, you know, it's no wonder that somebody like that could inspire posthumously all of this good work to be done.
I was going to say, he's inspired some amazing stuff in the community.
Definitely.
And Matt, what's working with Travis Manion Foundation done for you, man?
It's great because, you know, I've been helped.
Yeah.
So now I get the chance to help others. And it's neat to reflect back on and think like where I was 3 years ago, meeting him, and now I'll have a conversation with somebody. And thinking back on it, like, this was me sitting there talking to Albie, and now I'm talking to this person. It's just very fulfilling.
It's a very San Diego veteran community thing, though, too, man. Like, I think when you get out, don't you feel like maybe near getting out, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm out, I'm going to go do my thing. And then it kind of just sucks you back in.
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, I feel like the same reason that people serve in the first place, like, kind of draw people to service after the fact in their communities. And I think it's just a cool thing about the veteran community.
It's very cool.
If anybody wants to get involved or wants to help out, what do you guys need? We'll roll your
So we have
URL.
our 9/11 Heroes Run coming up on September 18th, which is a big event that we're having. It's going to start and finish on the USS Midway, so we're pretty pumped about that. And you can go to travismanion.org to register, and I believe the prices are
$37.
Yeah, $37 right now. But that's definitely something that we want people to do. It's a great day to come out, honor the fallen, challenge the living, bring the community together, and really sort of remind everybody what we should be remembering on that day.
So we need volunteers. If somebody doesn't want to run, they can come and help out.
Definitely.
So if you want to volunteer, even if you don't want to run like me.
Sure. Non-runners, welcome to apply.
So travismanion.org. Thanks so much for coming in, guys. I appreciate
Definitely,
it, man.
thank you.
Always appreciate you guys. Coming up next, I got a chance to sit down with Rick Collins from Veterans 360 last week. We talked about some of the things around PTS and the stuff that he's doing to get on the level of some of these guys that are most at risk. So we'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Steve, and this is my wife Amy. We just had our solar panels installed by Baker Electric. Living out here in the East County, the temperatures can be in the mid-70s to over 100.
We didn't know a lot about solar. Speaking with our solar consultant, he was there to answer any of our questions that we had. He was always there when we needed him.
I think the fact that Baker does go in-house with their employees, everyone is very professional and very polite, and they're on budget. We couldn't have gone with a better company.
All right, welcome back to Operation American Dream. As I go around the community, there's a lot of nonprofits out there. There's a ton of nonprofits out there, and some of them do real work, I would say, and some of them don't. Definitely in the studio at this point, I've got my good buddy Rick Collins with Vets 360.
Hey.
I'm interested in talking to you, man, because you are one of the guys that does actual work, like gets down nitty gritty, no big shiny fundraising So I mean, we're talking like sitting down with guys that have real problems and sitting down and see what we could do as a community for these guys. Tell me about like, well, first, give me a little bit of your background, man.
British vet, came here to play rugby, drink beer, chase women. 1 out of 3 was pretty good. And then 2011, 2 friends of mine killed themselves, both young, combat Marines, both had been civilians for less than a year. Both were under the age of 26. And it was right at the time I was really committing myself to veterans issues 100%. So that's where I headed.
So you came to the U.S., kind of got around some rough and tumble good guys, drinking beer, chasing women, playing rugby, knocking each other around.
Yep.
And then you had this happen with these guys. So is that kind of what started Vets 360?
Yeah. It was kind of boom, boom, boom. You know, all the moons aligned, and we started in early 2011.
I think one thing as we talk once in a while, man. Everybody's afraid to go out and grab a beer and go watch a UFC fight and just get down to the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
And like go where these guys are and get them in their element. Tell me about some of these guys, man. What are these guys going through? Who are the people that Vets 360 serves, and what do you guys do?
Well, we take target, if you want, the most kind of underserved, at risk, and vulnerable. It's not a veteran issue; it's a common sense issue. They're high school educated when they join the military, probably pigeonholed into 0311, 11B, infantry type role. Turn in your shields and spears, we don't need you anymore. They're getting kicked out by the thousands. And, they have no idea what the hell they're doing when they become civilians.
Well, let's back up real quick, too. I mean, they're going 18 years old, coming out of wherever they're coming out of, join the Marine Corps, go to boot camp, go out to, to have some pretty intense experiences, under some pretty difficult circumstances out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's since the beginning of the time when the war stopped, we get rid of the grunts, and these young folks, everybody talks about wanting to hire veterans, it's bullshit. They're not hiring these veterans. They'll hire your officer corps, your engineers, your pilots, your avionics techs, these skilled veterans. But these young folks are, and if you go back in their history, why did they join in the first place? Maybe they come from broken homes. Maybe they have PTS before they even join the military. And so we take great pride in the fact we target the toughest veterans to help.
Yeah.
And
there's a reality behind like the true word like combat veteran, right? I mean, like you said, like the hiring veterans, and it's kind of catchphrasey sometimes.
Yeah.
But you got to get beneath that and dig into that and understand what these guys are really going through.
And everybody, the media, I mean, there's some of the things in the media and even some of the things in the nonprofit world, like, we have the 22 thing, 22 push-ups, 20, people just don't get it. How is talking about 22 suicides a day benefiting that young man over there who is maybe a day away from killing himself? It's not a real number. They talk about 22 suicides a day. It's not 22 suicides as a result of PTS.
Right.
The vast majority of those were Vietnam vets. And also, that's a VA number. And most of today's vets, in fact, just about every vet I've ever dealt with, they don't register with the VA.
So what do these guys? So what does Vets 360 do? What do they really need? If you drilled it down to
Yeah. Well, the first thing we do is, we build a bit of trust in them. We talk their language, we cuss when we need to, we drink beer when we need to, and we earn their trust. And we take the time and trouble to listen versus telling them what their problems are. We're not invasive. We don't steam in there saying, have you got PTSD? Do you have a drinking problem? Are you angry? We build that rapport with them, and we find out what's going on. And often it's a simple case of needing a bit of direction. Some cases it's more advanced, and we really need to get medical professionals or treatment involved. But until you build that trust and you build a rapport, we can't assume we know what's going on with them.
Man, again, just what you're doing is great, man. Tell me about the Carry. We got about a minute left. Talk to me about the Carry the Challenge initiative you guys got going on.
Well, we got the Carry the Challenge initiative is about really kind of taking a different run at this whole demographic. What we're currently on right now is we personally have built probably the largest case management system in the country. We have over 4,000 transition, PTS, TBI, connections, references, people we can go to. The next step we're building is the Carry Challenge First Responder Program, where we want to reach out to veterans who've struggled with transition and struggled with PTS, and we're going to educate them on how to support the people we engage. I can't do what I do 1,000 times a month. I don't have the resources, so I got to get the boots on the ground. And we'll train these first responders in basic tools that, again, these young vets don't get. Career assessment, fiscal responsibility, likability and mindfulness, and resiliency training. So we train the first responders, they train the people we engage, then we get to connect them. There is no shortage of support in this country. Everybody's down on the VA, but the support is there. We're just not connecting the people that need that support.
Kind of like a sea of goodwill sometimes that just is really hard to navigate.
And they drown in it if they try it themselves. But I know how to navigate it, and I need to get 1,000 people who just like me who know how to navigate it so we can help them.
Well, I say it all the time to people in my industry, but you know, if you live in San Diego and if you operate in San Diego, you don't have the choice of whether to know how to deal with veterans and veterans issues. You have an obligation to know, and so carrythechallenge.org. If anybody's interested in Vets 360, what's Vets 360? We'll run Vets 360's vets360.org, is that right?
Yeah, we've kind of rebranded a bit to Carry the Challenge.
Got it.
We want to challenge people to get involved. So
carrythechallenge.org, carry the challenge spelled out.org if you want to get involved. Thanks so much for coming in, man.
Pleasure.
We'll be right back with more Operation American Dream.
My name is Mike Peters and my wife Cindy. We've been residents of Escondido for over 40 years, and we've been really happy with Baker Solar. Being a banker, I'm a numbers guy, and I looked at the numbers very seriously before I chose solar. Right now, my savings is about $3,000 a year. As the 20-year lease goes on, I'll be saving more, so I'm extremely happy with the system.
Lots of people watched the installation and a lot of questions, and I just have to tell them it's all worked out great. We're saving lots of money. It's paying off big time.
That wraps up another edition of Operation American Dream. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a part of the Operation American Dream community. If you want to get a hold of any of the guests that we have involved, or if you want to connect with us, or if you have great ideas for show content, this is very much a community project. All of us that are involved are volunteers in the community. We exist to serve the veteran community. So anything we can do to serve you, please let us know. You can reach out at www.operationamericandream.tv. That's operationamericandream.tv. Drop us your feedback, drop us your ideas, and stay involved with the show. We will be here every week trying our best to bring the most entertaining, engaging content and tell the stories of the veteran community, and also give tools and advice to those who have served. So let us know what we can do to help you. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week.